Welcome back, everybody. We are here for chapter 54 of Kagurabachi. This is now the fourth chapter I've covered here on the channel. So if you guys want to catch up to where we're at, make sure to check out my last set of videos. And yeah, the official chapter's now been out for about 24 hours now, and it's actually a pretty cool chapter. So let me know your thoughts and theories below in the comments, and let's get into it. So this week's chapter is going to be titled Friendship, and that's going to be an obvious play on Chihiro and Haruhiko, but we'll get to them at the end of the chapter. So this chapter opens up with the character Yura, and we've actually had his name dropped a few times so far in the series, but it's in this chapter that it's confirmed who he is and that he is allegedly the leader of Hishaku, which, just going to give my first impressions there. I'm not buying it. I'm willing to bet that there's probably some higher ranking members of Hishaku, and I'm pretty sure Chiro had mentioned that that guy, either he was present when his father was murdered or he wasn't. I can't really remember, but I definitely see him scoring off against Chihiro, but I definitely don't see him being like a final villain. But yeah. But Yura then proceeds to glaze up or give his flowers to our main crew as he admits that Chihiro is a modern day maverick, and then I guess it sounds like their next move is to try to locate Shiba. I guess he's a hard guy to track down, probably given his sorcery technique. But he even admits that Shiba is probably at the pinnacle of sorcery. So, I mean, that's pretty big words for someone who's the leader of Hishaku. So, some important details that I picked up from this conversation are that, one, so Yura is on the phone having this conversation with a unnamed Hishaku member. We've actually seen this guy a couple of times so far. It looks like he's really good friends with Haru. But we haven't gotten a name drop for him just yet. And then it sounds like this guy might be the one that's going to be tasked with finding Shiba. So I'm sure we'll get more information on this guy sooner or later. The second part is that Yura is having this conversation on a flip phone. So that's clearly telling me that this series takes place, let's say, somewhere in the late 90s, if not the early 2000s. We haven't gotten a year or decade drop just yet, or confirmation, but I'm assuming that's the case, which wouldn't be out of the ordinary because series like Chainsaw Man, if you guys aren't familiar, takes place in 1990 or in the 90s. So yeah. And then the third most important point that I picked up in this conversation is that Yura is having this conversation on a horsey rocking chair. Very important. The guy on the phone with Yura then questions if it's such a great idea to have Haru intercept Chihiro and give him such an important role in their plans, which, again, just to summarize, they are attacking all of the Kabunabi fortresses, so that way they can kill the current contractors of the enchanted blades. Even though the blades are stolen, you can't even unsheath one of the enchanted blades unless you have a contract with them, and only one person at a time, at least from what's been established, can have a contract with an enchanted blade at a time. Yura then proceeds to give Haru his flowers and says Haru's gifts are invaluable. So it definitely sounds like Haru is being groomed or prepared to be the next wielder of an enchanted blade, so that's definitely going to give him one hell of a power boost. We then cut to Chihiro in front of a subdued Haru, and in the last chapter, my speculation was that Chihiro was just gonna say, fuck it, and kill all the bystanders just to get to Haru, making it a pretty dark shonen. But in this new chapter, we see that Chihiro was able to avoid the bystanders, so no one was harmed, so that's great. But then we see Haru, and he is not looking great, so I definitely want to keep it on the Dark Shonen list here, the Dark Shonen tier list, or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, pretty crazy. Let me know what you guys think about that. I was not expecting him to be this battle damaged. How is he going to recover for this? How are you going to wield an enchanted blade with no arms? Haru then reveals that Yura is the leader of Hishaku, and that Hishaku is an elite group made up of 10 sorcerers. Haru then questions why him and Chiro can't see eye to eye. Chiro then states that not all killing is the same. I'm assuming this line was to highlight the difference between why people like Seiichi Samura fight and wield an enchanted blade versus the members of Hishaku who kill to further, you know, their further goals or whatever. So after saying all this, Haru somehow still comes to the conclusion that this fight is going to strengthen him and Chiro's friendship. So yeah, he's definitely certified crazy. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing where this kind of connection leads to in the future, or definitely looking forward to seeing Haru make his next appearance, and who he's going to square off against. That's going to be real interesting. But speaking of Seiichi, we end off the chapter with a sorcerer that appears, looks familiar. This is the same sorcerer from the first chapter, squaring off against Seiichi with his barrage of branches or tree roots, I guess you could say. So definitely looking forward to this. This is going to be an interesting matchup. I'm pretty sure this is one of the guys who was there the day that Chihiro's father was murdered. So yeah. That's going to be it for me today, guys. I will see you next week for the next chapter. Again, let me know your thoughts, comments below, and peace.